Here is part 2 to my 6 tips before you write your multi-point of view story. We have covered half the tips in the first part. Now we're going to cover the rest of the 6 here in this second part. If you happen to miss part 1, please stop this video now and click the part 1 link that I have in the description below. Here's the part 1 that I kind of hinted at a little bit ago. Where are the splits? It is recommended that you split up your point of views by chapter. Now, when that is done, it is clear. And I would also throw in a kind of a sub-chapter title where you have the character's name of whose point of view it is. If you split your point of view mid-chapter, I only recommend doing this when your characters are nowhere near each other. They are separated by a great distance or a great timeline where it's such a distinct difference of what the characters are going through that the reader will not get held up. If you do this, you can't do the sub-header like you do with the chapters. So what you will have to do is in the first sentence after the split, have the character's name of who we are following now. Now, I'm not saying this means if you do it this way, it's a done deal, you're good, and it's going to be great writing. I'm just saying, here's a suggestion, and it might still suck because it is such a hard thing to pull off and for the readers to not feel lost in a multiple point of view story. And sometimes it's not even them feeling lost of who they're following. Sometimes it's we've already gone through this situation. That brings me to my next point. Choosing a point of view to write your scene from. Throwing this out there, every scene should have one point of view. But in a multi-point of view story, you can have a second point of view reflecting of the scene. But you shouldn't have a play-by-play at the same time, unless that second point of view brings new information to the table that would be a little more cumbersome to highlight in a reflection. I'm going to use an example, and unfortunately I'm going to have to use a movie here. But if you remember the 2003 thriller movie Vantage Point, it had the same situation of the president getting assassinated, but each vantage point kind of quickly skipped over the actual, as you got further in the movie, skipped over the actual assassination real quick and went to the extra information that this character is pulling together, that us, the viewers, are now piecing together all the information. And it was like 8 vantage points, if I remember correctly, from that movie. So that's my point. We didn't go through each character's minute by minute vantage point to the president's assassination, but we did have some of their reflection and things that happened after the fact. So with that, that's what you should take into your writing. If there's more information that this second point of view is bringing, by all means, it can see if it can be done in a reflective manner of what just happened instead of a minute by minute of 2 people at the same time. Now, the last point. You should consider having a main point of view. This would be the main character. Sometimes it could be 2 characters, and even some stories have 3 main characters. But that creating your main and not giving point of view to everybody in the story is key. Things that will play into this is choosing your character, kind of tying back into my previous story about choosing your point of view, is choosing your character that is there for most of the story. But the point is that the main points of view, they carry the story. So if you have 6, you might want to go back to tip number 3, where we say don't have too many points of view. You might need to think about cutting some. And George R.R. Martin's series is exempt from all of these. The bottom line when doing multi-point of view stories, you might find yourself writing the same scene from multiple point of views, trying to decide who's going to get that real-time point of view and who's going to get that reflective point of view. So if you realize you're going to be writing a lot more words than what your actual final word count will be for a multi-point of view story, and you take in the 6 tips that I listed, Not saying it's going to be perfect, but you're going to be a lot better prepared and make less edits for when you go through your editing process after your first draft. So if you have any other suggestions about writing multi-point of view stories other than the number one suggestion that I have not said yet, which is don't. How are you going to get better if you don't even try? I'm not saying publish what you've done the first go around. I'm just saying try it, see what happens. Please comment any of your tips and tricks down below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell so you can be notified every Monday when my videos post. If you've ever wanted to try a multi-point of view story and you don't give up like I did, by all means, please attempt it, get good at it, fine-tune it, and I'm sure you'll come up with even more tips of how to be better just by practicing writing this way. Happy writing!